Whatever I do goes okay, right?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Your show.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, you can, Dr. Dokes will be checking chat box. Maybe she can, I will be going over my slides. So she will be able to help me. If you have any questions, please put in the chat box and I'll be able to respond right away, okay? And this is where I'm going to talk about, these are chapters 20 and 21, vitamins and minerals, humans and animal health. That is the title, okay? Vitamins are quite important. These are organic compounds. I told you, I think, at the beginning. And vitamin, this word was coined by this guy, Casimir Funk. He was a Polish chemist. Vitamins means vital amine. Vita means life. Amine means anything that contains nitrogen can be called amine. If you remember, I told you protein calculation is based on percentage nitrogen. And vitamins have some nitrogen there, okay? Proteins also. So amine. These are the organic compounds. They're very small amounts needed in the diet for animals and humans, but they are very essential for growth and maintenance of life. Again, I think I told you there are two types of vitamins based on solubility. Some are water soluble, some are fat soluble. And water soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. Water soluble vitamins are all the B complex vitamins, that is from B1 to B12, and also vitamin C. These are the water soluble vitamins. This is the nitrogen I was talking about. Some of the water soluble vitamins have nitrogen, okay? Fat soluble vitamins are mainly comprised of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And water soluble vitamins are a little bit different. They have nitrogen, they have sulfur, and they have also cobalt, which is one of the minerals. This is the basic classification, very broad, okay? The roles are different. We have this listed. Fat-soluble vitamins are mainly involved in regulation of metabolism of structural units. What that means is body has a lot of structures, right? A lot of structural units like membranes and all the different organs we talk about. That is regulated by fat-soluble vitamins, assist in regulation. And another thing important here is these vitamins, A, D, E, and K, are absorbed in the intestine. I'll tell you exactly where they're absorbed, I think at the end of this slide. But they're absorbed in the intestinal tract, but you have to have fat. Otherwise, they cannot be absorbed in the body. So fat, they have, because they are soluble in fat, that's the way they are absorbed in the body. And they are stored in the fat. Fat-soluble vitamins are stored in fat. And they are excreted in the manure or feces. And I told you vitamin K can be made by rumen microbes. Those species of animals which are called ruminants, they can make their own vitamin K. They can also make their own B vitamins and vitamin C. Okay? Compared to water-soluble vitamins, all the B vitamins and C, They are mainly involved in transfer of energy. What that means is, suppose you eat carbohydrate, you eat protein, that carbohydrate, protein, or fat needs to be converted to energy, right? At the end of the process, we need ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the currency of energy. In the transfer process, a lot of water-soluble vitamins are used, okay? And these vitamins are absorbed with water. That's why it is very difficult to create toxicity of water-soluble vitamins as long as you drink enough water, because they're soluble in water and they can be easily excreted in urine. Another difference is they are not stored in the body like fat-soluble vitamins. They're not stored. So you have to be continuously feeding this to animals because they don't store that in the body. And all vitamins, water-soluble vitamins can be made by ruminants like cows and goats and sheep and all those grass-eating animals, okay? Are there any questions so far? These are the major differences between fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins, okay? If you have any questions, please raise your hand or ask or put in the chat box. These are the fat-soluble vitamins, and I have given you the list here. These are the functions. This is what happens when they do not have, they are lacking in the body. These are the sources that you can easily find this kind of vitamins. Vitamin A is epithelial tissue. That's what I was talking about. All those vitamins, these things are part of the structural units, right? Epithelial tissues, all the epithelium in the inner coating of the like intestine or stomach, you need those vitamins. You also need for calcification of bones. And these are their functions. When animals do not have enough, this night blindness is mainly with humans. If you are vitamin A deficient, you can have night blindness. Keratinization is another thing you see. This is rough skin. And we will have pictures down the road. And these are the food you can easily get this from. This is mainly for humans. Yellow corn, alfalfa is a very good forage for cows. Alfalfa hay, alfalfa pellets, beautiful, beautiful forage for cows, okay? We also sometimes feed to our goats, but it's very expensive. Fish liver oils, very rich source of vitamin A. So these are some of the examples, but you can have a whole host of things which are good sources of vitamin A. Like all the green grasses, right? You see right now, if you go around, drive around, you see all the green grasses, crimson cobalt, ryegrass, all those grasses are really high in vitamin A right now, okay? The next fat-soluble vitamin, which is very important, is vitamin D. Vitamin D does not work alone. It works with calcium and phosphorus. You have to have a balance of all these three things to make all of them function right, okay? And this is very important to note. Some of them work together. And these are the problems. Rickets, I think you may have seen on pictures. Osteomalacia, this is another disorder we see when you don't have enough vitamin D. And these are the good sources. Cured hay is very good because they're cured means they're dried hay. Milk is a good source. Eggs are a good source. Vitamin E is very important, particularly for immune function and antioxidant. What I mean by antioxidants is a lot of feed or food we eat have fat, particularly unsaturated fat. They go off, they go bad pretty soon. So you have to protect those unsaturated fat, and vitamin E is used as an antioxidant. Other popular ones are ethoxyquin, butylated hydroxycholine, toluene. I'm not going to confuse you, but you need to have some antioxidant in the feed bags if you have fat, particularly unsaturated fatty acids. Vitamin E also works with selenium, another mineral. We'll talk about that later. And the deficiency of vitamin E and also selenium causes white muscle disease. This is the liver has those calcium deposits, and white, it looks very white. So liver function goes down. Cereal germs are very good sources. Germs of cereal like corn and wheat, those are the most nutritious part. They have a lot of vitamin E. Vitamin K, another fat-soluble vitamin. I told you this is not required by ruminants. They can make their own. As long as ruminants function is okay. The normal blood clotting, this is where the problem, if we do not have enough vitamin K, animals will die of bleeding, okay? I think there is a rat poison coming out of this. Coumarin is one thing. I'm not going to confuse you. Anyway, at this stage in game, vitamin K is very important for blood clotting. Because when animals are walking around, they get cuts here and there, bruises here and there. If they don't have, like ourselves, if we just work in the barn or work in the yard, we do get cuts here and there. If we don't have enough vitamin K, we will be bleeding. And some of the things, those folks with high cholesterol and those folks take blood thinners like aspirin. That is anti-vitamin K, okay? Aspirin is to thin the blood, vitamin K is to clot the blood. So some of the green leafy vegetables, the doctors say that, hey, don't take too much green leafy vegetables when you're taking aspirin, which is a blood thinner. So that's what I'm saying, okay? Are there any questions? If you have any questions, you could not make any sense of what I'm saying, please ask me, okay? These are some of the vitamin deficiency symptoms. This is the one with vitamin D. Look at the crooked hawks, and this is, and here is the one, and this is night blindness. These are the symptoms. These are some of the images, okay? This is the one I was talking about, white muscle disease, vitamin E deficiency. Look at this, all the white spot. This is also caused by selenium, which is a micromineral. So vitamin E and selenium, they work together. So you cannot simply blame vitamin E. It can also be coming from selenium, okay? This is how the animals are. Look at the animal hunchback and all these animals do not look in a good shape, okay? Vitamin K, I think it's bleeding. That's the main K region. Animals, if they hurt animals, they start bleeding, blood will be out of the body and animals die. In terms of water-soluble vitamins are further divided into two groups. All the B vitamins and vitamin C, they can be divided further into two subgroups, I guess. The group of vitamins that are water solubles are involved in the release of energy from food. Like I told you, if you eat corn, you have to have that starch in the corn to be digested and then release that energy into, converted into ATP. This group of vitamins are vitamin B1, which is also called thiamine. Riboflavin is B2, nicotinamide, and pantothenic acid and biotin. These are the group of water-soluble vitamins which are involved in the release of energy from food. And the next group of B vitamins are called hematopoietic vitamins. Those are related to formation of red blood cells. Very important to make RBCs. Some of the important ones are folic acid and vitamin B12, which is also sometimes called cobalamin, because vitamin B12 contains cobalt, which is a mineral, okay? Folic acid, because it does help make red blood cells. That's why some of the pregnant women are given folic acid, because that will help make more red blood cells. The red blood cells carry oxygen, you know that, right? Hemoglobins and all that, different areas. I'm not going to talk. When we look at goats, anemic goats, we look at the red blood cells, okay? Packed cell volumes. So these two groups, remember that one is for release of energy, another group is for making red blood cells. You should be able to give some examples. There is one vitamin which does both, help in release of energy, pyridoxine, also makes red blood cells. So this is a very broad classification of water-soluble vitamins. Vitamin C, this is not in the B group, this is by itself, vitamin C. Collagen formation, collagen is, you know, all that tissues. And the scurvy is one of the widely known symptoms of vitamin C deficiency, spongy gums and the bleeding gums. There is no more this in the early, I think, last century. This was spotted when the explorers were coming to this country on long voyages. They could have this kind of symptoms on the sea because they're devoid of vitamin C rich food, but they easily solve with lime, citrus, green vegetables, okay? And vitamin C is also not a dietary essential, not only ruminants, but for us too. We can make them from glucose. But we do take vitamin C in order to over-supplement so that our immune system is enhanced. And because there is no toxicity, so it is okay. If you drink enough water, it does not do any damage. Also, this kind of vitamins are not given to cows, because they will be destroyed by rumen bacteria. So it is useless to feed this kind of water-soluble vitamins and vitamin C to ruminants. Okay, please think about that. These are some of the, I have given you, yes.
We need a clarification in the chat. It says ruminants are able to. You had a note saying ruminants are able to synthesize vitamin B, E, and K. They wanted to make sure those are the right vitamins and know where they are synthesized.
So you are telling me that ruminants can make A, D, E, right?
Ruminants are able to synthesize vitamins B, E, and K. I think you had a slide a little bit back. They're
Okay,
trying to
let
make
me
sure
go.
that those were the right vitamins and know that they are.
In here? Are you talking about this one?
I think it's. He said
This
one
one?
more back. Yes. Come on mute and say one more back.
This one?
I guess they direct messaging. It said one more back.
This one?
Corey,
This one?
that might be it. They're not coming out mute. They just said one more back. I don't know what one more was, but I think that one.
This is the beginning of vitamins.
Go to the last slide you just take off.
This one? This one?
No, it was back. Matthews, you have to clarify your question. Come off mute.
Is this the one?
I'm not sure which one they're saying. They're not.
So he was not. So let me repeat again, okay? Maybe I confused. What I was saying was all the fat-soluble vitamin except vitamin K should be provided to ruminants. Is that clear? Ruminants or cows, grass-eating animals, can make vitamin K. The rumen bacteria can make that. Is that clear? And they can also make all the water-soluble vitamins, B1 to B12, plus vitamin C, ruminants. Is that clear? So we do not, when you check a feed bag, you go to a store, if you take the feed bag for cows or goats, you do not see vitamin K listed there. Only 3 vitamins are listed, A, D, and E, but not K, because K can be made by rumen bacteria. That's what I was saying. Water-soluble vitamins, all B1 to B12 and vitamin C can be made by rumen bacteria. So there is no need to provide to cows. Is that clear? More confusion?
That makes sense.
Okay, so that's what I was saying. All right? I think this is where I was, right? Vitamin B1, it is also called thiamine. And this is for functions, deficiency, and sources. These are the things. Vitamin B1 is quite interesting vitamin. And again, I told you this is responsible for energy transfer from food. Like if you feed fat, that should be converted to ATP. That is the kind of things they do. This is very interesting. This berry is a word from Sri Lanka. Berry is, Sri Lanka has 80% Sinhalese population, about 15% Hindus, and maybe some percentage of Christians and also Muslims. In that Sinhalese language, berry means I cannot. That's what it means. I cannot means the humans who are very deficient in vitamin B1, they did not have any energy to do anything, even to pick up a. This person was sitting under a mango tree. Mango fell down, the ripe mango fell down beside him, but the person was so weak, could not even pick up the mango and eat. And the guy who was watching this person asked, why can't you do that? You have right there mango, which is very nutritious. It will give you a lot of energy. He said, I cannot. In Sinhalese, that means very, very. In their language, very, very means I cannot. So the point I'm trying to make, thiamine is very important in terms of release of energy, okay? But these are the good sources. Okay, brewer's yeast is a very good source of feed for animals. We have a lot of breweries in this country. So people drink beer and all sorts of things, okay? So this is quite an interesting vitamin. Vitamin B2 is our riboflavin. This is again protein metabolism. This one is for carbohydrate metabolism. This one is protein energy transfer. This is what happens. Look at this chick, curled toe paralysis, okay? And all these sources, most of the places when I look at the milk seems to be everywhere, liver seems to be everywhere. That's why milk, they think is a very good food, okay? Even the vegetarian can drink milk. Milk is everywhere, remember that. Liver is another thing I see everywhere, but if you don't eat meat, you don't consume liver. The third water-soluble vitamins is pantothenic acid. Pantothenic means it is found everywhere. This is a Greek word, so not really important because you can find in many places, in many things. So it is a rare case. You cannot have rare deficiency syndrome. So again, liver, milk, cereal byproducts, a lot of cereal byproducts are fed to animals, corn gluten feed, corn distillers grain, corn gluten meal, wheat bran, all sorts of things are fed to animals and humans. Niacin, which is also called nicotinic acid. This is again, because this is a water-soluble vitamin, B vitamin group, energy transfer. This is the one, pellagra, rough skin and diarrhea. This is what happens when this is, animals are, or humans are deficient. Niacin is also used as in, I guess, over-the-counter kind of medication for those who are suffering from high cholesterol level. Doctors even talk about that. I think they want to get rid of the cholesterol. They want to digest cholesterol, maybe release that as energy. Again, yeast, liver, and meat, these are the sources. Next one, pyridoxine. I think this B6 was both in the red blood formation and energy transfer. Dermatitis and anemia, and these are the things. These are not very commonly encountered. Yes.
What? We have somebody want to know what F and S stand for.
What is, say it again?
What does F and S stand for?
Oh, this is functions. This is sources, I'm sorry, okay? These are the functions, F for functions. Therefore, deficiency symptoms, S for sources. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't have enough room, so that's why I should have explained functions, deficiency symptoms. These are the sources of feed or food. Biotin is very important B vitamin. This is mainly for fat synthesis. And porosis is leg deformity when they are low in biotin. And again, a lot of meat like liver is pretty good source of biotin. Biotin is a water-soluble vitamin, but this is fed to some dairy cows, very high-producing dairy cows. People do that. When I was in the dairy industry, doing all the ration balancing, I noticed that biotin is fed, and I used to tell them, hey, this is not of any use. But sometimes we do things that may not be of much use, but it is a practice. Cyanocobalamin, vitamin B12, carbohydrate and fat metabolism. This is also used for red blood cell because of this cobalt. And these are some of the symptoms. Folic acid is another group that is for formation of red blood cells. That's why I told you folic acid is prescribed for pregnant animals, okay? Choline is another group of vitamin, choline. There is a company, Bolden-Tiller. Bolden has choline business. Choline is a water-soluble vitamin. I told you it is not much use for ruminants. But what Bolden did was they protected this choline with some kind of coating so that it can be protected from bacteria in the rumen. So this choline is marketed right now. I have a friend in Bolden, and he invites me from time to time for the seminar, and they have a bypass choline, protected choline, and they recommend that for ruminants, okay? So choline is, in general, not recommended for ruminants, but there are bypass choline available. There is another group, inositol, which is, these are not really vitamins, but there is some research information available. They're not dietary essential. People have created some situation in the lab, but I would not be concerned about this for our nutrition, okay? Again, choline is very interesting. How do you know vitamins? Suppose you have a food or feed. If you go to the food section in the grocery store, you look at some labels, you can pick up a can of food and look at all the numbers. Or you can do the same thing with animal feed. Go to some stores, pick up a bag of animal feed, and you'll see a lot of numbers, not the water-soluble vitamins, but you see fat-soluble vitamins, so many international unit per pound and this and that. So how do you do that? How do you analyze those levels? Suppose you have some suspicion about the feed or food. You want to verify. Where do you send the samples? What are the procedures involved? So how do you know that vitamin levels are there? Many different ways you can test. One thing is simply, suppose you picked up a bag of feed and you think that is good for goats. You have some suspicion. You can do a biological assay. What that means is you can feed to animals, bunch of animals for a certain period of time. you have to have a graded level of vitamins. You cannot feed only one level of vitamin and tell the story. There is a procedure involved. When you do the animal trial, you have to have the approval to do that kind of trial. You cannot simply do whatever you like with animal experiments. That is an animal care and use committee. They always verify what you can do and what you cannot do with animals. So this one is called biological. You can actually use animals and measure, let's say, growth, how fast they're growing, what is their, let's say, certain levels of things in the blood, or if you want to do for milk animals, you can see how much milk was produced. You can do this biological test to do exactly what you need to know about vitamins. But this is expensive, you know. I mean, this is expensive. It takes time. It takes money. So this is not practiced. Another one is microbiological. In this case, you use bacteria rather than animals. This is much cheaper, much faster. This is one way to see how these vitamins, which are labeled in the feed tag, do. Another one is chemical. You can send the sample to the lab. There are not many labs to do vitamins, by the way, in this country, because it is not a regular test. You have to really try hard to find the lab to do vitamin test. One time we tried, we wanted to do some vitamin, and the sample was like $200 per sample, which is very expensive. If you want to do protein test on a feed, you can send to some lab, they can do in $12, $15. But if you want to do a vitamin, it will cost $200. So the farmers do not practice that because it is, they trust the feed companies, what is listed on the labels, they think it is okay, because this is, also it's very difficult to prove that this is because of lack of vitamins. You rarely see those symptoms. Okay. Another thing in the vitamin business, you have to know international unit. It is listed so many international unit per pound of feed or per kilogram of feed. What is IU, international unit? It is equivalent to 0.3 micrograms of vitamin A, which is equal to 1 international unit. You know, kilogram, grams, milligrams, and micrograms, right? 1,000 gram is 1 kilogram. 1,000 milligram is 1 microgram. You know all those. 1,000 microgram is 1 milligram. That's the way that unit goes down. So 1 international unit is 0.3 microgram of vitamin A. When you read that, so many international unit per pound, that's how you have to understand. Most B complex vitamins are listed in this way, 5 milligram per pound of feed or 5 ppm. You know, 1 ppm, 10,000 ppm, it's 1%, because these vitamins are needed in such a small amount, it is very difficult to express them in percentage. That's why they are expressed in ppm, parts per million, or milligram per kilogram, or milligram per pound, okay? Any questions? Minerals, I'm going to talk about minerals. Very interesting that is not much difference between the species, right? Minerals are quite similar. You know, if you know the mineral nutrition of animals, you can easily relate that to humans. But considerable differences exist in vitamin needs among different species. Only mineral, this is the only mineral, cobalt, which is needed by herbivores. This is interesting fact. Herbivores means those species that eat grasses, okay? And a lot of things we need to know about minerals. There are a lot of organic minerals. There are a lot of inorganic minerals. There are a lot of confusions. And also a lot of minerals are found in food stuff, feed stuff. If you pick up a grass of, let's say you go to the goat farm, you see those goats are eating grasses right now outside. You pick up those grasses that could be grasses or legumes, or they could be combination, or even the weeds. You just pick up those and send to the lab. You can find all sorts of minerals. So minerals are plentiful in feedstuffs. A lot of minerals, okay? But one thing, please remember that you can find a lot of minerals in the feed, in the grasses, in the food. Does not mean that you can absorb, digest those minerals. Only a very small amount can be digested and can be absorbed. So sometimes you can see the numbers pretty good. Most of the time, that does not mean anything. Okay? I'll give you an example. Manganese is a micro mineral. If you look at the forages, there is a lot of manganese in the forages, but the percentage available when you feed to animals is less than 2%. 98% of that manganese is wasted. It looked very good on paper, but it doesn't mean anything. Think about that. And these are the minerals, major minerals or macro minerals, and calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, potassium, chlorine, and sulfur. I think sulfur was the one missing in the slide I given to you. So I added this number 7 beside. These are the major ones you talk about, okay? If you go and talk to the veterinarians, when they talk about their cats and dogs, they talk 7 and 8. 7 major minerals and 8 microminerals. These are the 7 big ones. Big in terms of the amount needed. They're needed in higher amounts compared to microminerals or minor minerals. That's why they're expressed in percentage. For example, calcium requirement can be expressed as 0.5% of the total diet. I told you in vitamin, water-soluble vitamins are expressed in ppm because they're required in such a minute amount you cannot do in percentage. If you want to express in percentage, it will be 0.00005%. People will forget that, you know, it's very difficult to remember, okay? And these are also called minor mineral, trace mineral, or micro minerals, okay? There are 8 of them, okay? So 7 and 8, remember that will help you. 7 major, 8 minor, 7 macro, 8 micro. That's how you can say. These are also called trace minerals. Iron, iodine, fluoride or fluorine, or zinc, copper, manganese, cobalt, selenium, and chromium. These are the major minerals we talk about in animal nutrition. They are required in very small amount. That's why they're expressed in ppm or milligram per kilogram. If you start doing that in percentage, it will be almost impossible to read. For example, if I do this zinc requirement, which is 50 ppm, if I express that in percentage, it will be 0.005. Life will be difficult. You miss 1 0, that means big time difference. So that's why, because there is required in very small amounts, that expressed in milligram per kilogram or milligram per pound or parts per million. Okay? Please remember that. But one thing I told this last week, and I am also repeating again, trace minor does not mean they are not important. They are equally important. Only difference is because they are used in very small amounts, but they are equally important, like those number 7. So 7 and 8, remember that. That way it will be easy for you to remember. But both are very important. I'm going to go with individual minerals. I will start with calcium and phosphorus. Again, functions, deficiency, symptoms, source. I have done that here, except deficiency. Calcium is very important, you know, bone and teeth, and blood clotting, muscle contraction. These are the functions. And deficiency is rickets. I think this is to do, like they work with vitamin D, rickets, slow growth, osteomalacia, softening of bones. So these are the things you see with calcium. The best source of calcium is milk, but that may not be important for some of the nutrition we talk about, animal nutrition. So we can talk about legumes. These are the grasses that fix atmospheric nitrogen. Or you can give them bone meal. Bone meal is available from the stores, or dicalcium phosphate, or limestone, which is calcium carbonate. These are the good sources of calcium. By the way, limestone is very highly digestible, okay? You can supplement limestone or calcium carbonate to animals, put in the diet. Phosphorus is important. Bone and teeth, they work together with calcium. Also DNA and RNA need that. Okay, you know what DNA and RNA means, right? Deficiency symptoms, this is one thing they always tell, that animals will start eating something they are not supposed to eat. They're looking for something. They're missing something. However, this can be because of many other things. They eat non-nutritional substances. The hair coat is rough. This is for cow. And reproduction. This is one thing I want to bring some story. In the dairy industry or in the beef industry, beef cows and dairy cows, the goal of the dairy industry and beef industry is to have one baby calf per cow per year. Now, guys, what is the gestation length of a dairy cow? What is the gestation length?
9
Can
months.
anyone tell me? How many months?
9
3
months.
months, 3 days, 3 weeks.
Say it again. How many weeks? 3 months, 3
Weeks, 3 days.
You're talking about pigs, right? I'm talking about dairy cows. 9 months. That's the correct answer. It is not exactly 9 months, but it will go up and down. But why I'm bringing that 9 months is, if you want to have a one calf per cow per year, after 9 months of gestation, within the next 3 months, they should be bred within 90 days. There is still milking, they still have their baby calf, but they should be bred. That is one of the most important things in dairy industries and beef industry. They want their cows bred within 90 days. One of the things, I don't know, this is so widely believed, that phosphorus is very good in reproduction. If you feed higher amount of phosphorus, it will help cows get bred. That was the belief among farmers. I was very surprised when I was doing it. I was a dairy nutritionist. Customer would call me, can you increase the level of phosphorus in my dairy diet, maybe 0.55% or at least 0.5? But in a lot of places, this phosphorus level is regulated. When you test the dairy cow's manure, and then the manure goes to the creek, and so they're very careful because phosphorus is an environmental pollutant. It can create green algae problem. But farmers were strongly in the belief that higher level of phosphorus help reproduction. So that is their belief. So that's why poor reproduction, lower level of phosphorus will lead to low level of reproduction, okay? And these are the sources of feed or food: milk, eggs, and oil seeds, and dicalcium phosphate. Oil seeds is a natural source of phosphorus. By the way, most of the grains like corn, wheat, barley, oats we eat, they have very high amount of phosphorus, okay? But corn, on the other hand, is really low in calcium. That's why you did not see seeds here. Seeds are really low in calcium. Seeds are really high in phosphorus. Remember that. But the dicalcium phosphate, this is both calcium and phosphorus source. So this is the reason we do not, North American diets, if you look at the poultry diets or swine diets, most of the diet is comprised of corn and soybean meal. Corn is really low in calcium, but it is compensated by soybean meal, which is good source, okay? So that's what I mean. This is what I was talking. Yes?
I'll say it's almost 10, so we have a lot of
Oh,
students.
I'm sorry,
logging on.
Dr. Dogs. I just get going. So,
Get good.
When I'm in the group, I forget time, okay?
No worries.
Thank you. I will see you. When is the next time I'm talking to this group?
We will finish up on
Anyway, no rush.
the
Let me know,
12th.
okay?
The 12th.
Anyway, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
it. Bye.
Doc-
Thank you.
Yeah.